Hi everyone, I just wanted to do a short video about lesson number 9 and the different kinds of librarians. Over the course of my career, I've worked in several different kinds of libraries, and I didn't anticipate today that I would be working as a professor at MTSU. It just sort of it ended up in my lap about a year ago. But I started out working in a public library in Michigan, and I worked, well, before I became a librarian and got my MLS, I worked as a page and I put the books away. Then I worked in the circulation area, and then as I was in school and finished, I went to work in the adult reference area, where I've spent most of my time in libraries. I also worked for about 8 years in a very small academic library in Michigan. There were about 5 of us on staff, and throughout the years, I did several different tasks as a librarian. Uh, I worked with the circulation system. We had just upgraded to the new version of Horizon, and so I was involved in implementing that and customizing some of the features in Horizon for us. I also did a little bit of cataloging. I spent a year as an interim director, and I hired 2 librarians during that time. And I also always did reference. I bought for about half the library, since there were so few of us. The principal areas being religion and psychology, education, science. What else? That's all I can remember now. But so, and working in an academic library was a lot different than working in the public library. The books were different, obviously, and the interactions with the patrons were different in the academic library. Students came in most of the time in a rush, or when their paper was due, and there wasn't a lot of reading for fun for them. So it was not always the most exciting transaction, I'd say, but it was fulfilling to see them grow as students over the years that I worked with them. Let's see. I also worked then in Tennessee at a public library as an adult reference librarian, and I worked on the website as well as some social media. I was there when we implemented a new system again. We went to Polaris, and I did some customization again with that. I worked reference. I did some classes for adults on how to use their e-readers, and I worked in the local history room that we had there. During that time, I got my archival certificate from the Georgia Institute of Archives, and what else did I do? I don't know. Anyway, from there, I went on to work for a vendor, and I was in collection development there. And working for a vendor is a position that not a lot of people know about. But when you think about it, there are so many library vendors. There's all the vendors for the ILS systems, Horizon, Polaris, and all those. There's ProQuest, there's the database vendors, there's the ebook vendors, just regular book vendors. There's so many vendors in the library world that do hire librarians. So I found myself at a local vendor, and I worked there for 3 years as a collection development librarian, and we would have libraries from all over the country and the world who wanted to open new branches or update their collection, and they would hire us to build lists of books because they were buying so many at a time. It was overwhelming, so it was helpful for us to build lists for them, and then they would choose the books from the list that we built. So that was interesting because we worked with different libraries from all over the country all the time, and a couple overseas. And again, I did mostly adult nonfiction in that area, and then I also did some adult reference and large print. So that's a little about what I have done. I think being a librarian is a really great job. I've loved each and every position I've been in, and all the different things that I've gotten to do. So I hope that you find this module interesting, and even if you know what kind of librarian you want to be, it never hurts to just see what other people are doing out there.